For centuries, there was one empire that seemed impossible to defeat. Its armies conquered kingdoms, its roads connected continents, its laws shaped civilizations, and its influence reached farther than any empire the world had ever seen. This was ancient Rome. At its height, the Roman Empire stretched across 3 continents, from the cold forests of Britain to the scorching deserts of North Africa, and from the Atlantic Ocean to the Middle East. Nearly 70 million people lived under Roman rule. Its cities were filled with towering temples, massive amphitheaters, bustling marketplaces, and incredible engineering that amazed the ancient world. Roman roads stretched for more than 250,000 miles, allowing soldiers, merchants, and messengers to travel faster than ever before. Aqueducts carried fresh water into cities. Colosseums entertained tens of thousands. Powerful legions protected the empire's borders. To millions of people, Rome seemed eternal. Many believed it would last forever. But history tells a different story, because even the greatest empire can collapse. And Rome didn't fall because of one battle, or one emperor, or one enemy. Its collapse was slow, painful, and stretched across centuries. The warning signs appeared long before the empire finally broke apart. At first, Rome's greatest strength was its military. The Roman legion was unlike any fighting force the ancient world had ever seen. Highly disciplined soldiers, trained relentlessly, built forts overnight, marched incredible distances, and defeated enemies through organization rather than sheer numbers. Their famous rectangular shields locked together to form nearly unstoppable defensive walls. Their roads allowed armies to move quickly across vast territories. Every victory brought new land, new wealth, and new people under Roman control. But constant expansion came with a price. The larger the empire became, the harder it was to defend. Thousands of miles of borders now needed protection. More soldiers were required. More forts had to be built. More supplies had to be transported. Every new conquest made Rome stronger, but also more vulnerable. Meanwhile, life inside the empire was changing. Rome itself had become one of the largest cities on earth. Its streets overflowed with merchants from distant lands, senators debating politics, skilled craftsmen, entertainers, and ordinary citizens hoping for a better life. Luxury surrounded the wealthy. Huge villas displayed marble columns, colorful mosaics, and beautiful gardens. But only a few streets away, many ordinary Romans struggled to survive. Crowded apartment buildings housed thousands of poor families. Food prices continued rising. Jobs became harder to find. The gap between rich and poor grew larger every generation. Political power also became increasingly unstable. Emperors rose to power through military support. Some ruled wisely. Many did not. Assassinations became common. Civil wars erupted again and again. Generals often fought each other for the throne instead of protecting the empire. Each conflict weakened Rome from within. At the same time, dangerous new enemies were gathering beyond the empire's frontiers. Germanic tribes watched the borders. Persian armies challenged Rome in the east. And across the northern frontiers, pressure continued to build. Rome still looked powerful. Its monuments stood proudly. Its armies still marched. Its banners still flew across 3 continents. But beneath that magnificent appearance, cracks had already begun to spread. And soon, the empire that once ruled the world would face the greatest crisis in its history. By the 3rd century AD, the Roman Empire was no longer the unstoppable superpower it had once been. From the outside, Rome still looked magnificent. Its roads connected continents. Its cities bustled with life. And its armies guarded thousands of miles of frontier. But beneath the surface, the empire was slowly breaking apart. The first major problem was its enormous size. Rome stretched from the rainy hills of Britain to the deserts of North Africa, and from the Atlantic coast to the Middle East. Controlling such a vast empire demanded hundreds of thousands of soldiers, endless supplies, and enormous amounts of money. Every year, the costs increased. To pay for its military, emperors raised taxes again and again. Farmers struggled to keep their land. Merchants watched their profits disappear. Ordinary families found it harder to survive. At the same time, inflation reduced the value of Roman coins, making everyday life even more difficult. Economic pressure spread across the empire, but financial troubles were only the beginning. Rome's political system had become dangerously unstable. Powerful generals competed for the throne. Emperors were assassinated. Civil wars erupted repeatedly. Some rulers governed for years. Others ruled for only a few months before being overthrown. Instead of defending the empire, Roman armies often fought one another. Every civil war weakened Rome from within. As internal chaos grew, dangerous enemies gathered beyond the borders. Germanic tribes including the Goths, Vandals, Franks, Saxons, and Alemanni launched increasingly frequent raids. For generations, Roman legions had defeated every invasion. Now they struggled simply to hold the frontier. Then, history took another dramatic turn. From the distant grasslands of Central Asia came a new force, the Huns. They were fast, fearless horsemen whose arrival sent shockwaves across Europe. Entire tribes fled before them. Thousands of refugees moved toward Roman territory, hoping to escape destruction. Some were welcomed. Others were treated unfairly by corrupt Roman officials. Resentment quickly turned into rebellion. In 378 AD, Rome suffered one of the greatest military disasters in its history. At the Battle of Adrianople, Emperor Valens personally led the Roman army against the Gothic forces. He expected another Roman victory. Instead, the Roman army was surrounded and destroyed. Emperor Valens was killed on the battlefield. For the first time in centuries, the legendary Roman legions no longer appeared invincible. As losses mounted, Rome increasingly relied on barbarian mercenaries to defend its borders. Many fought bravely. Others remained loyal only to their own tribal leaders. The discipline that had once made Rome the greatest military power on earth slowly faded away. Then came another turning point. In 395 AD, after the death of Emperor Theodosius I, the Roman Empire was permanently divided into two halves. The Eastern Roman Empire continued from Constantinople. The Western Roman Empire ruled from Ravenna. The East remained wealthy, protected by trade, strong walls, and stable leadership. The West became poorer, weaker, and increasingly vulnerable to invasion. Finally, in 476 AD, the last Western Roman emperor, Romulus Augustulus, was forced to surrender to the Germanic leader Odoacer. There was no great final battle, no dramatic last stand. The empire that had ruled the ancient world for centuries simply came to an end. Yet Rome never truly disappeared. Its laws influenced modern legal systems. Its engineering inspired generations of builders. Its language evolved into many of today's Romance languages. Its military strategies are still studied around the world. And its rise and fall remain one of history's greatest lessons. The story of Rome reminds us that no empire, no matter how rich, powerful, or advanced, is immune to decline. Every civilization rises, every civilization changes, and every civilization eventually leaves its mark on history. If you enjoyed this journey through the rise and fall of the Roman Empire, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Lost Timelines, and turn on notifications for more epic history documentaries. Thanks.